Good day, brothers and sisters. Your brother Rams here, and it's always a pleasure to get back on the airwaves and talk about what's been happening. Again, as always, I start off by saying thank you to all my supporters out there, people who are listening to me. It humbles me greatly to hear your comments and support, and by the grace of Almighty God, I'm able to continue this podcast. Like I said, I try to do every week, but it depends. It depends on what I see out there. I wait sometimes for some information to build up, and then I'll come on my podcast. But I'm back on the airwaves, and again, I'm thankful very much to all of you all for your support and continue to support me and keep giving me the motivation to spread this important information to all peoples, black, brown, red, yellow, and white people as well. Again, my mantra on this podcast is that everything must change and time moves forward. That's what it's about. You can't live in the past. You have to move to the present and future. So again, thank you, brothers and sisters, for listening. But right now, we're going to get right into the political sauce. But as usual, sometimes it just behooves me how I got to start off with some condolences. But I have to start off with some condolences, and I am. And I'm going to say condolences to the family and friends of the 13 U.S. soldiers killed in this crazy Trump war. I call it the Trump war because he started it. And so it's the Trump war, so he owns it. Like Colin Powell said, you broke it, you own it. So right now he's broken this and now he owns it. So we call this the Trump war because these people did not present any kind of imminent danger. That's the word they use now. Imminent danger to the United States. So again, my condolences to their families, to their friends. May God give them strength, during their times of struggle. And may he bless you and keep you strong. Because to lose a loved one is a difficult situation, as I'm sure all of us has felt some kind of loss when a loved one passed, especially when those who went to serve their country. So my hat's off to those soldiers who took up our battle for freedom, justice, and equality, even though right now we have an administration that basically doesn't give a damn about them, only to use them for their own wicked ways. Okay? Condolences to them. My second piece is I want to talk about here is I want to talk about it's Women's Month, Women's History Month. And of course, I got to say something eventually about black women's, but I want to talk about women's in general because it's very important that we understand women here in this society. And it's very important to understand that this is Women's Month, and all people should celebrate uh, every month, really. Every month is Women's Month, but especially this month. Celebrate it, you know. And plus, I want to give you a demographical fact. There are more women in America than there are men. That's biologically for a reason. But there are more women in America than there are men. That's a fact. Okay? But they are very important part of our economy, part of our life, part of our country. They have contributed so much, so much to America. Even though when the founding fathers made the founding documents, they weren't around. They weren't allowed to be there. Women, that's right. They weren't. It was all white men. That's a objective fact. But women are a powerful force here in America, and we must never ever forget that. We should never ever marginalize or minimalize women's accomplishments. Never. And I say that. And one of the things I want you to understand, especially women all over the world, but I'm talking here in America, from going from being a mother to the CEO of one of the top corporations, women have contributed significantly, and please recognize them. Don't marginalize them. Don't minimize them. They're just now starting to come up in pay, which they should. If they do the same job as a man, they should get equal pay. But they're still lacking a little bit. So take my hat off to women because, again, they've made this country great. But it's a shame how they're treated. And I have to say that. Oh, Brother Rams, yes, I am saying that. You know who I'm about to talk about. I'm talking about the Epstein files. I ain't forgot about them. And don't you ever forget about them. And to them young sisters, you keep fighting. Because this demon got into a war to avoid the Epstein files. He got into a war to get into the Epstein files. He didn't want you to see these files. So that's on the back burner. We're talking about war. So you young women keep fighting. God bless you. And don't you ever let no man destroy your dignity. I don't care who he is. And if you have to start telling on them old buzzards, tell on them. They had no business because they destroyed them young girls' lives. Some of them traumatized to this very day. Women's Month, everybody. Celebrate it with joy. Celebrate it. Because I'm sure you know some woman in there, some woman in your life, whether your mama, your sister, your auntie, grandmama, co-worker, girlfriend, wife. Celebrate Women's Month. Celebrate it. Another place I wanted to say is, I want to say to my Muslim brothers, Ramadan Mubarak. And Ramadan will soon be over. Probably sometime this coming week, around the 18th and 19th. But Ramadan Mubarak, my brothers. And I'm just a little peeved at you, brothers, because you let two demons come in and start making you fight each other during Ramadan of all times. Damn it! You should not be fighting yourself. You know that's haram in the Quran. Fighting each other, throwing bombs at each other. And who's got their hand behind it? The two demons. Who are they, Brother Rams? You know Donald J. Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu got you fighting among yourselves. Got your brother bombing yourselves. Throwing bombs and killing. Meanwhile, them two demons are plotting to destroy you. Stop the fighting, brothers. It's Ramadan. You should not be fighting. You should be able to talk to your brother, especially during this time. Especially during this time, during Ramadan, brother. So again, let's get into the political sauce. Again, we want to talk about that, this Trump and this war that he's gotten us into to avoid the Epstein files. That's all that's about. It's to avoid the Epstein files, brothers and sisters. And we know that's what it is. He don't want to bring it out because now it's getting juicy. It's getting real juicy. Because there's those who are saying, those that are saying that he is on tape. They got him. He's in them files, Jack. And allegedly, a 13-year-old girl said he sexually assaulted her. Only time will tell. Bring out the files and let's see what it is. If you didn't do it, well, then you didn't do it. But it looks awfully guilty when you keep denying the files be released, even though you've already broken the law. Even though you've already broken the law. But again, let's get into this political sauce. And let's talk about the Trump war, I call it. Not war with Iran. That's Trump's war with Iran. Because he didn't get any permission really to do it. He just did it unilaterally. And then he's gotten us into a quagmire. Yes, he has. Because there's no real exit plan. Just get in there. All right? Let's take a look at what has happened, what has transpired so far. He has destroyed the Iranian infrastructure. Destroyed it. All that bombing him in Israel, the other mischief maker, Benjamin Netanyahu, and I'm going to talk about him in a minute. They destroyed the Iranian infrastructure. Nothing around but bombed out buildings, man. What are those people going to go to? He thought he was initially helping the anti-regime protesters. But since he did that, him and Netanyahu started bombing Iran indiscriminately, just bombing everybody. Bombing everybody, tearing down the buildings. Where are those people going, man? These two war criminals. Yeah, Trump, you're a criminal, war criminal too. You both are. You're mischief makers, blood-shedding demons. Quick to shed blood, quick to make mischief. Donald Trump. They started bombing them indiscriminately. Now, let's see the first point. The first point is this. You look at them bombing them, and yet you say you're there to help the protesters. Looking at it logically, can you tell the difference once you drop that bomb? Who's a protester and who's an IRG? Which stands for the Iranian Republican Guard. They some tough dudes, man. The Iranian Republican Guard, they're not a joke. They're the ones with the guns. And they ain't laying down their arms. So I want you to understand that, brother. They started bombing indiscriminately. And what the nitwit Trump didn't understand was this. Because, to me, he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. By no stretch. By no stretch is he the sharpest knife in the drawer, brothers. But I'll say this. What he did was this, if you notice. He now caused the people to come together. He's now caused the people to come together. So now they're unified against the United States. Let me give you an example. So you get to understand the gist of what I'm saying here, brothers and sisters. You got a family. Got some brothers and sisters. But there's a couple of, you say you got a big family, but there's a couple of brothers or a couple of brothers and a sister that you really can't stand. And not say hate, but you just can't stand them. Always talking mess. They irritate you. As kids, you all got into physical beefs. As physical kids, you got into physical beefs with your brother or sister. Can't stand them, but you still love them, but you can't stand them. But now, pay attention. Someone from the outside comes in and tries to bother one of them, or try to mess with one of them, or try to harm one of them. What do you notice happens? You ain't putting your hands on my brother. I can't stand the knucklehead, but damn it, you ain't gonna touch him. Same with my big sister. She always running her daggone mouth. But you better not touch her, because if you touch her, you better duck when you see me coming. You force them to come together. Any political differences that they may have had, you've now bonded them together, now making them tougher. You bunch of nitwits. But see, if Trump had any real people around him, they would have told him that's not a good move, because that's not going to help us in the end. It's going to hurt. They're going to only unify. We need them separated. We should work from the inside to separate them. Divide and conquer. Not just go there and conquer. Because you can't discriminate between the protester and the regime. So you bombing everybody. And you know I got to talk about that school. Bring tears to my eyes. America did it. Sure they did. That place got hit by the Tomahawk missile. And then that old nitwit said, well, it could have been Iran. I think they shot the Tomahawk at themselves. 25th Amendment, y'all. When are you going to invoke the 25th Amendment on him? He's stark raving mad, man. And he surrounded himself with a bunch of puppets. And because they're a bunch of puppets and parrots, they never advised him that, hey, man, what you're doing is wrong. You can't do that, man. Like in the first Trump presidency, there were people around him that said, don't do that. But now he's got his puppets and his parrots. So that's important. But Trump, being the slickster that he is, what does the American people notice? The price of gas has skyrocketed. You know why it skyrocketed? First of all, brothers and sisters, I got to pull your hat to a couple of things. What made the price jump so fast isn't because of the crisis in the Middle East. It's not. It's the middlemen on Wall Street. They manipulate the price of gas. Let me say that again. It's the middlemen, the people who do the trading. They cause the prices to go up. That's one fact, brothers and sisters, you got to understand. They cause the price of gas to go up. The middlemen who trade the commodity of oil all around the globe. But who benefit? Donald Trump. How does he benefit, Brother Ram? Because remember, most of the oil America pumps is for Americans. It's not to be exported. They keep that oil here. As a matter of fact, Trump done stole some oil from Venezuela. He done stole some oil from them people. That's what has happened. He's stolen the oil. So we produce plenty of oil. We don't export much oil, if any at all. So with the rising prices around the globe, who stands to make a killing? American oil companies. Billionaires. Oh, wait a minute. Billionaires? Wait a minute. That's Donald Trump's tune. Again, here he is making money for his billionaire friends. He can give a damn about you and your health care. He can give a damn about you about housing. He could give a damn about you in daycare. As long as his cronies making them billions, I don't care about that. And I'll use our military to enforce all this. And that's the sad part. He'll use the military, brothers and sisters. The American oil companies, they're the ones making that money. They're the ones making the money, brothers and sisters. They're the ones. And that's what we got to do. We have to realize that this was a money-making scheme for Donald Trump's cronies. He'll start a war. He don't care about them soldiers. He called them suckers and losers. He laughed at John McCain. None of his kids ever been in the service. He avoided the service with some phony foot injuries. He don't care about no American soldiers. You know, gas prices, like I said, going up. And again, the oil companies make billions and billions of dollars. American oil companies. Oh, yeah. And I wanted to tell you, again, this is kind of wicked. Yeah. Donald Trump has lifted oil sanctions against Russia. Wait a minute, ain't oil on Russia fighting with Ukraine? And we're supposed to sanction their oil and shut them off economically? He's eased those sanctions. He's lifted those sanctions till they say April 11th. That's a long time. That's over a month. What does that oil then do? It now finances his war against Ukraine. You're helping out another dictator, Putin. Putin must be sitting back laughing his head off, saying, look at this fool. I got him releasing that now, making money hand over fist. Good God Almighty. There I am, making that money. And then, again, he uses that money to fight Ukraine. But guess what? Putin has been accused, guess right, he's been accused of giving Iran vital intelligence on ships and soldiers over there in Iran. He double talking like Trump does. Talk to Putin, then give Ukraine weapons. Well, it takes a double crossing a scoundrel to know a double crossing scoundrel. So what he's doing is this. He's saying, oh yeah, I'll go ahead and sure, I appreciate the lifting of the sanctions and I'll even help you. And then next, he gives intelligence to Iran. And he also shows them how to use their drones against the American military. Yes, he is. They got it. They know he is because they know Donald Trump is a double crosser. So two double crossers are talking. But remember, as I've always said in my podcast here, these are the three mischief makers on the planet of the earth. These are the mischief makers. Trump, Netanyahu, Putin. But what am I saying today? What's my main topic? The topic that I'm talking about here is regime change. Does America and Israel need regime change? Brother Ram, ain't that the other countries? No, it can be any country. Does America and Israel need regime change? And let's take a quick look at the topic. Let's start with America, and then we'll talk about Israel. Why there's a need for regime change. Now, neither one of those countries are dictatorships, even though people question ours right now. But in theory, it's supposed to be a democracy. There's a big disconnect between the president and the people. This is a key point that I want you to take with you as I go on to Israel. There's a big disconnect. The American people do not approve of Donald Trump as their president. They say he's done a terrible job. Poll after poll after poll after poll. They disapprove. There's a big disconnect between the American people and Donald Trump. Even his own MAGA base is feuding with Donald. They're feuding with him because why? Because he said he wouldn't take them into no more foreign wars. And he lied. And one of his staunchest supporters at the time, know the sister, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, she was a scoundrel at one time. But this is why I'm taking my hat off to her. You said, man, she said some vile stuff, man. I said, but remember my mantra here? Everything must change and time moves forward. So when you see change in our Caucasian sister, don't be upset, don't be mad. She understands that way wasn't right. That's why people change. God gives you time to change. For you to come to the realization that what you were doing wasn't right. It's time to go forward. Let's not go back. And she saw Donald Trump for who he is. He'll use you like a Sunday hat. She still got love for him. But she says she ain't going back to no Congress. It's crazy there. It's crazy in Congress. So I'm not even going to go there. I'm happy where I'm at, working among my people in Georgia. And I say kudos to her for making that change. She's just a regular Republican now. She's gone back to the, like the Dick Cheneys, the Liz Cheneys, the old school Republicans, the Bushes. That's the old school. That's the one that are part of our country. We're supposed to have that discourse between two parties, Republicans and Democrats. I like this. I don't like that. We go back and forth politically. We don't get outrageous like this president has. So my kudos to Marjorie Taylor Greene. But as I said, the approval rating for Donald Trump among Americans, even his MAGA base, is under the water. It's underwater. He's not approved of by no faction, no poll, nothing. So there's a disconnect between the American people's interests and our government. There's a disconnect. We have a man waging war without prior authorization. And as you see now, he's in a quagmire of foolishness. He's in a quagmire of foolishness. A quagmire, brothers and sisters. And this is where he's put America. He's put America in this quagmire, brothers. But remember, this is Trump's war. So I'm giving you little stats on his Trump's war, right? It's costing America $1 billion, that's billion with a B, dollars a day. Remember this thing called waste, fraud, and abuse? He has now sent an additional 2,500 sailors and Marines to Iran. They're on these 3 amphibious assault boats. Now let's look at the word amphibious. Amphi means on both sides. That means they can be on land, it can be on water. So in other words, if they have to go into Iran, they will attack Iran. They were making an amphibious assault on them. You know, he's lied constantly and consistently to the American people. Sounds familiar? Pathological liar. Judge Judy got this thing. I always laugh when she says this. She says, "You don't have to good memory. You don't have to have a good memory if you tell the truth." But he can't tell the truth. He has to consistently lie. Remember, first it was about helping the anti-protesters. Then now kind of switched to regime change. Then all he's doing is him and Netanyahu bombing people and killing people. And you can take that or let it alone. Remember he claimed this? We obliterated Iran's nuclear program. Oh, yeah, we dropped that 3,000 or whatever ton bomb on them, and we just obliterated everything. And got mad when the people, his own people, said, well, you can't really say that yet because we haven't assessed the damages. Obviously, they didn't. Now he done switched up. Guess what? Now he claims that he struck Iran because they were about to attack us. Cut it out. Cut it out with the clown jokes, dude. Iran can't attack us. Not from there. They can't. But guess who can? How about North Korea? North Korea can attack us. They got the missiles that can hit America. But guess what? You don't go bother them. Why don't you go kidnap them or behead them? Like go in there and try to capture Kim Jong-un. See if you can go capture him, like you did the guy in Venezuela. You don't do that to North Korea. You're very tempered with them because you also know their cousin China backs them up. No one backed Venezuela up. Iran, you got them to fight among themselves. But guess what? You underestimated them. You underestimated them. Remember Trump's going all around the country saying, oh, yeah, we won this. We already won. And he out there in Kentucky, unfortunately, some of them Kentucky voters, I got to question them. I hope I wouldn't be sitting and listening to that foolishness. Not when I see what's before my eyes. That's crazy, man. That's absolute crazy. You know, he underestimated the Iranians. Willpower. They got serious willpower. And yes, Israel and the United States, with their powerful air and naval advantage, quickly overtook the Iranian airspace and the sea waves. Quickly overtook it, you know? So now he running around, oh yeah, we beat them. Do they have the military strength that you have? No, they had no way. What did Iran have about? He said we sunk about 80 boats. If they had half that many, it was enough. They didn't have all that many like that. Neither did Venezuela. None of them have any real powerful armies. All the powerful armies you stay away for mysteriously. Like I said, go attack North Korea, go kidnap their leader, send military secret mission to go there and get him and see what happens. And they do have the missile capability of hitting America. But he's a dictator like you, so you kind of got things in common. So you don't bother him. And because you don't bother him, he don't bother you. But you go to bothering him, and you'll see a whole different side of things. You'll see a whole different side of things. But Trump has been proclaiming victory all around the country. But the Iranians ain't surrendered. Remember, he said, I want their unconditional surrender. Like he was talking to Japan or Germany in the Second World War. They're not giving up, brother. I'm going to tell you why. Their religion forbids them to give up when they see danger. That's what brought them together. They're coming together under their religion, as warped as it is at this time. That's bringing them together. And to Iran, they're in the second phase of this war. What? I thought Trump says, oh, it ain't over till it's over. You know? So now they're in the second phase, which now includes attacking U.S. military bases in the surrounding areas in Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, America, and Israel. Wasn't Qatar like supposed to be the peacemakers and y'all bombed them anyway? Why did you bomb in Qatar? They bombed them because they were like Uncle Toms for America and Israel. But you shouldn't be bombing your brother, because it's haram. That's not what's supposed to be done. That's not what's supposed to be done. So what has Iran done now? They have shut down a strategic point. It's called the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is a very narrow area. Tough negotiating oil tankers through there. Okay, for to come through. But 20%, you've heard this 1,000 times. You heard it once. 20% of the world's oil goes through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has also put sea mines in the area. They put sea mines, so you go over them, you'll blow up. This is them in their second phase of war, brothers and sisters. To blow up any ships who will be foolish enough to try to navigate through the Strait of Hormuz. You're gonna get blown up. Trump said, "Well, I'll eventually have an escort." He don't want no escort now. He wants the prices to continue to go higher so his boys can make money. Don't forget that. You can never underestimate the wickedness of this demon. Anything to make a buck. Anything to make a buck. And now Since the ships, since the ships ain't going through there, guess what? They're just sitting there like sitting ducks. They're sitting there like sitting ducks, and you know what's happening? I'll tell you what's happening. Iran, since it's easy distance from the shore, they're easy distance from the shore. They're now firing rockets and drones and all that stuff, blowing up the tankers, sitting there burning up. So they're setting the oil tankers ablaze. I'm laughing because it was never thought out by the Trump administration. See, because he don't let his cabinet get a chance to speak. They remember they're puppets, parrots, sycophants. They do nothing to upset the puppet master. So they will not tell him the truth. It's like the emperor's new clothes. You know the story, damn it. Sucker walking around naked. And they talking about, oh, he wearing some beautiful clothes. He got on some nice clothes. No, he's naked as a jaybird. That's how the people around Trump are. Nothing but puppets and parrots. And because of that, our country's at risk. It's seriously at risk. But I say this to you, and let me warn you, America, because I don't want to see nothing happen to our soldiers with your foolishness. Because like I said, I have family in the military. And I'll talk about it in a minute. But let me warn you, America, that even though you've destroyed Iran's air and sea capabilities by taking out their air defenses and blowing up their ships and all of that, it says you are being set up. Listen to your brother. This is critical you listen to. You being set up for the Vietnam strategy. What's the Vietnam strategy, Brother Rams? It's a strategy for large invading armies on smaller, less defensively equipped countries. And I call it the Vietnam strategy. What was that? The Vietnam strategy is this. Iran wants you to put them boots on the ground. Yes, they do. That's the why you think they've stopped bombing. They could still bomb, but they're saving their ammunition. They want you with them 2,500 troops, because that's what they know you're going to do. They don't want you to come on land. Come on land right now. And you'll be in grave danger. I'm warning you, America. You'll be in grave danger because of what? What destroyed the American troops in Vietnam? It's this thing called guerrilla warfare. One sapsucker up in a tree. One sapsucker in a bunker. One sapsucker in one of them blown up buildings. Picking off Americans left and right as they march along the ground. Yeah, you can use helicopters. Can't use tanks. Tanks will be totally ineffective. You know why they'll be ineffective? Because this thing called the IED. What's the IED, Brother Rams? IED is what we call an improvised explosive device. There's a bomb they set up along anywhere you go along and boom. Already 13 American soldiers have died with hundreds wounded. And the numbers will jump exponentially once you put them soldiers on the ground. And that's what Iran wants. They want you to put the soldiers on the ground so they can now start slaughtering them. And they want the American people to watch. And when America sees American soldiers dying, they'll what? They'll be running to the voting polls to stop the reckless killing of American soldiers. And this is how we in American democracy make regime change in policy. Because we can't just kick them out, even though the 25th Amendment should allow us to. We had an opportunity with the 14th Amendment, Clause 3. Participating in insurrection should disqualify them. Colorado and Maine had got it right. They disqualified him from benefits. You had safeguards in there to prevent him from coming up. But of course, America wanted a white nationalist, white supremacist as to be the dictator of America. And now look at this is why we're suffering. This is why we're suffering. But they will go to the polls in droves come midterm so we can have regime change policy. Because there's a disconnect, don't forget, between the American people and our present administration. Big disconnect. He wouldn't win the popular vote today if it was held. And that's important. That's very important. But this is Trump's foreign policy. Remember what he said. He was asked, so when do you think the war is over? When do you think the war is going to be over? And this is what that narcissist said. He said, it'll be over when I feel it in my bones. Whoa! You're not going to take statistics and logistics and all that into account? It's going to be based on a feeling in your bones? You're sentencing American soldiers to their death for a feeling in your damn bones? Crazy as hell! 25th Amendment. Where is it? To all you Republican pundits, I ask this of you. You say, well, the 25th Amendment, oh no, they'll never get Trump on the 25th Amendment. No, oh no, that won't happen. My question to you knuckleheads is this. If he's not an example of the 25th Amendment, what is? You describe someone, a president, that's worthy to have the 25th Amendment invoked on his behind, since Trump ain't. Here he is, he's sending the American military all over the world fighting, getting killed for a war he started. But brothers and sisters, now I'm going to pivot to the other mischief maker, his partner, his cohort, Israel. We need regime change in Israel. Because why? Because they're just killing people, man. They're going around just killing people, brothers and sisters. And that don't make sense. That doesn't make sense whatsoever. They're just going around killing people. After they attacked Iran, they started blowing up Lebanon. Mischief maker, bloodshedder, Israel. Israel, mischief maker, bloodshedder. This is them. Benjamin Netanyahu. Mischief maker, bloodshedder, demon. There's a tremendous disconnect between Netanyahu and the people of Israel. They do not agree with him. I want you to understand that. So when you get mad at Israeli people, understand it's not them so much. Netanyahu and his far right wing government. Wait a minute. What's that word? Far right wing government. Who else has a far right wing government? That sounds like American Donald Trump. Eerily similar. They're warmongers. They are warmongers. There's great disconnect. According to the Israeli Democracy Institute, the IDI, nearly 75% of Israelis believe Netanyahu should resign. They believe he should resign. Guess what? In America, don't you wish Donald Trump could resign? I bet if you posed the question, if Donald Trump was allowed to resign tomorrow, would you agree with that? Most people would say, yeah, let him resign. Let him resign. They want Netanyahu out. And that's what they say. They say that Netanyahu should resign because of the October 7th, 2023 attack on that Israeli music festival. Now, Brother Rand, what do you mean he's responsible? That was done by Hamas and a bunch of terrorists. But there's one small point I want you to understand. The New York Times, reliable source, reported that Netanyahu's government knew of this attack a year before it happened. They knew of it a year before it happened, but they laughed it off. They not laughed it, but they goofed it off like, eh. Even though it included the methods that the terrorists would use against the Israeli people there that day. But Netanyahu did nothing about it. They used the same tactics that were told to them a year before. Parachuting in, riding bicycles. They did the exact same thing, brothers. They did the exact same thing. An overwhelming number of Israelis do not approve of the way he handled the hostage situation. Remember the hostages? A number of them died because that wasn't his priority. That, hey man, go get my sister, go get my brother, go get my uncle, go get my daddy. He was saying, hell with that, I'm gonna kill everybody there. If I kill everybody, you'll be happy. You're not gonna kill them all. And here's the other side of it. You, by killing all them Palestinians and killing all these Iranians, guess what you got now? You got generations now who hate Israelis. They hate them. You're going to have generations that hate them because all they're going to remember is being bombed out, especially the Lebanese. They were basically minding their business. Well, Hezbollah, they was up among the population. So so you killed them too? You killed the population because they're among them? Hey, knuckleheads in Israel, guess what? Your military lives among you too. They don't all live on a base. A number of them live within the civilian population. That's normal. That is normal. All soldiers don't live on a base. They live among the population. So that's a convenient excuse. They did it with Hamas to justify killing Palestinians. They're using the same tactic against the Iranian people, saying Hezbollah's hidden up in there among the people. There's Israeli soldiers hung among the Israeli population too. That's just sense. But that's an excuse to kill and manslaughter human beings. Netanyahu, war criminal, ICC. All right? The Israelis disagree with Netanyahu. But again, his party is composed of far right-wing leaders who do what? Are now more concerned about war and killing people instead of wanting peace and diplomacy. There was this African brother I saw on YouTube. His name escapes me. I'll have it for you next time. But he says something very interesting about Israel. He says Israel has what we call a preemptive defense. What's that, Brother Rams? That's like, I have a feeling that these guys who live around me don't like me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get my gun and kill them first, because I have a fear they're going to come kill me. That's Israel's defense. It's called preemptive defense. I'll kill them first. But what if you're wrong? What if they didn't plan on attacking you? So you would kill them indiscriminately, like you've been doing. Mischief making and bloodshed, him and Trump. See, Netanyahu lured Trump into this. There was no clear plan. But Netanyahu's plan is to kill everybody around him that has had anything that could, his perception could harm Israel. But I'm going to tell you, brothers and sisters, I'm like Gavin Newsom. I'm saying, look, we got to rethink our relationship with Israel, man. We have to rethink that. It is utterly, utterly out of whack here. It is. It's out of whack. It's out of line. We need to rethink it, brothers and sisters, because it's too much. It's absolutely too much. And we need to re-examine our relationship with Israel. So is there time for regime change in Israel? Oh, yes, without a doubt. Because the Israeli people want peace, man. Just like the American people. The people want peace. Their leaders say, no, we want to fight and war and try to eliminate this one and eliminate that one and make money. And hell with the daggone people. What they want. Even though you were elected by the people. You're saying hell with the people. Mischief maker, Benjamin Netanyahu. Mischief maker, Donald Trump. Two demons that are controlling, along with the third one, Putin, controlling the earth. Meanwhile, China sits back and watches. They've condemned Israel. And word is kept. They're providing weapons, missiles, to help fight America, to Iran. Quiet is kept. They have no choice. They can't let America dictate who's to lead and who's not to lead. So I want to say that to you, brothers and sisters. That's a key point. And what have these two nitwits done? Let's look at the full ramifications of this, of allowing Israel to drag us into one of their hate-filled wars. Now, guess what? Again, here's a warning, America, to Israel. Now, your citizens will not be safe nowhere in the world. And I'm not making a threat. I'm telling you what's going to be fact. You've seen it already here in America. Shooting at Old Dominion. A guy tried to shoot up a white Jewish school with young kids. Attack in Austin, Texas. All of these things are going to increase. One of the guys, I forgot who it was, he was Lebanese. He was Lebanese. And they said his people got killed in the bombing over there. So he came over here and tried to, do what he could do against America. These attacks are going to increase in America. They're going to increase all across the globe. They're going to increase all across the globe. And you can take that and let it alone. But this is what you've now done. You didn't make America safer. You didn't make Israel safer. Again, Israel, you're going to have to live in houses made of concrete and steel, reinforced. You know that ain't no way to live. Everywhere you go, you got to have a security force outside of where you worship, where you eat. You know that's no way to live. But this is the way you're going to live because of your leadership. you have the opportunity to change that regime in Israel. You must do it because he's sending you to be ambushed and slaughtered all around the world. You can take that or let it alone, but it's leading for you to be ambushed all around the world. Israelis here in America, Americans abroad, you will now be targeted by these different groups. But also, Israel's suffering economically. People don't tell you that, though. They're suffering economically. According to the IDI, this Israeli Democratic, the Israeli Democratic Institute, 67% Israelis express dissatisfaction with Israel's economic future. They're dissatisfied, just like here in America. Is it time for regime change? Special election, something. They want Netanyahu to resign. They want him to step down. Economically, because war drains your resources, man. Nobody can work. There's no production. Because now you got to worry about getting bombed. Okay? 70% express concerns about the future of their social cohesion. Of course not. How are they going to have social cohesion and everybody's running in the bomb shelter? Now, like I said, you've been able to build bomb-proof like houses and stuff like that. But is that the way to live? That's living in fear, baby. But where does it start from? It starts from this conflict between Israel and the Middle East has been going on for a long time. And where did it start, Brother Rams? You've heard me mention this, but I got to mention it again so we don't misunderstand. And then I'm gonna give you some more information about some things about Israel and its relationship to time and religion and all of that. But I got to go through this piece right here, right now. This thing called the Balfour Declaration. What was that about, Brother Rams? It was on, the date was November 2nd, 1917. And it was a public pledge by Britain supporting a national home, Great Britain supporting a national home for the Jews, the Jewish people in Palestine, which was then an Ottoman region it was an Ottoman region. Now listen at the time. 90% Arab population, issued in World War II to secure Zionists, Zionist support. Let me redo that. In 1917, Arthur Balfour, right, sent a 67-word letter from Arthur Balfour to Lord Rothschild of Great Britain. Now, who was Arthur Balfour? This is the Balfour Declaration. Critical, black man. You understand this because it's going to give you some insight into your history and who you really are. Arthur Balfour was the British Foreign Secretary. Now, he's sending this letter to Lord Rothschild, a prominent leader in the Jewish community. He's sending a 60-word page letter to Lord Rothschild, prominent Jewish leader in the Jewish community. And what it did was it promised that Great Britain's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. Now let's look at this. The place is 90% Arab. It's 90% Arab. The British, who own nothing, none of that land, who own none of that land, the British foreign secretary says to one of the leaders in the Jewish community, I know a place where you can have a home. It's called Palestine. We can take it over, because British at the time had one of the biggest militaries in the world. So they were doing that might makes right. Whatever we want, we take. Now remember, black man and woman, the British have been your enemy for a long, long period of time. The British and the Romans, because they were the invaders in Africa. We've always had to fight the British or the Romans, or both. So you don't see no love for me for no British folks, because I understand their history and what they've done. So they said, now let's take this land and make a home for the Jewish people. Let's make a home for the Jewish people through this Balfour Declaration. But there was a small problem. There was a small problem. In 1922, the League of Nations gave a Class A mandate. What is that? Class A mandate now is recognized all around the world. Mandate is an order. Class A, top of the line, that now says these countries here, Palestine, Iraq, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, had the right to govern themselves. That the territory that they were occupying, they could govern themselves. Now I want to make a very close connection here. Watch this connection, brothers and sisters. Watch this connection. The Class A mandate was given to Palestine, Iraq, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon. Let's look at some of the places that Israel has bombed. Palestine, Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq. That's five of them. Five of those countries already. Iran, Iraq, Sudan, black people, Qatar, supposed to be the places where they meeting for peace, but Israel bombed them anyway. How do you bomb the peacemaker? Because you're a warmonger. Tunisia, and Yemen. Oh yeah, and by the way, Israel's the only one in that area who has a nuclear bomb. So who's the real threat in the area? They bombing everybody else, and they have a nuclear bomb. Nobody else has one. Well, we want to make sure they don't get one. Why? Israel has one. What if they feel so trapped? And like I said, they do that preemptive defense. I'm gonna drop an atomic bomb over here on uh, Syria. I'm gonna drop it on Jordan. What's to prevent them, brothers? And like I said, there will be a rise in anti-Semitism here in America, all over the globe. But let me rephrase that. There'll be a rise in anti-Israeli, because the original Jew, the world doesn't have any problem with him. Let me say that again. The original Jew, the original Hebrew Israelite, America does, the world does not have a problem with them. What are you saying, Brother Rams? I'm saying we don't. The rest of the world don't have a problem with the Hebrew Israelite, the ones that look like me and you, the original Jew. And now I got to clear up some things, of course, because black folks, in America, you're going to be fed a lot of propaganda. So I have to distinguish what that is. First and foremost, a Jew is not a race of people. A Christian is not a race of people. A Muslim is not a race of people. A Buddhist is not a race of people. Let's get that clearly understood. They want you to believe that, but they're not. How did they become a race of people? It was done by the Nazis in World War II. It was done by the Nazis. They turned them into a race of people. To do what? To dehumanize them. Once they turned them into this so-called race, they turned them into a sub-race, subhuman race. And then that justified harming them, white Jewish brothers and sisters. Harming it, justified. But guess where they got that playbook from? That playbook. They got it from America. Look at the similarity. What did they do to the original people? In their founding document, they said the Negro is 3/5 of a human, thus dehumanizing him. That dehumanizes the black man, the original man. So the Nazis took the same state of play. They got to find a way to dehumanize them. Then that justifies our mistreatment of them. So they turned the Jews who practiced Judaism, they turned them into a sub-race, a subhuman. But you're not a race of people. Chinese can be Jewish. If you're from India, you could be Jewish. And obviously, if you're white, you can be Jewish. My issue with you is you're not the original Jewish people. You're not. Time says that. Because you came last. So how could you come last and be the ones they're talking about of the earliest religions in the world? Monotheistic religions. Polytheism was always the deal. But you were one of the major early monotheistic religions. The Hebrew Israelite. And all you got to do, if you think I'm wrong, all you have to do is go to the walls of the pyramids. Inside the walls of the pyramids in hieroglyphics, they talk about the Hebrews. What? And they're not talking about Silver, Goldberg, Brown, Wolf, Fox. They're not talking about the European Jews. They're talking about the Hebrew Israelite Jews. Those were the original Jews. Now you can take that and let it alone, but it's on the walls of the pyramid. That's proof. Where do you get the word Semite? I told you. It comes from Noah's middle son, Shem. Shem. From Shem to Sem. Semites. Shemites. Where does the Shemite, the Semitic language come from? It comes from Western Asia and Northern Africa. What do you know about the people up there? Those ain't Caucasians. So understand that when you talk about anti-Semitic, you're talking originally about the original Jews. And America has always been anti-Semitic. And I'll say this to you to pull your coat. When they took black people out of Africa, they took their name, they took their culture, they took their language, they took away their culture, like I said. But one of the main things you forget, they took away their religion. What religion was the black man before he became or turned into a Negro? What religion was he? He first was a Hebrew Israelite. And later on, he became Muslim after Christianity mistreated the black man. And it mistreated the black man because they turned one of God's most precious prophets into a Caucasian, and that's Isa ibn Abdullah. Isa ibn Abdullah, you call him Jesus. They turned him into a white man when he wasn't a white man. So our brother Noble Drew Ali said, get out of Christianity as it's taught in America, because it's a slave-making religion. And where they made the biggest error, not error, part of their brainwashing was misunderstanding these two words in the Bible. I'm giving you heavy knowledge, damn it. So pay attention to this. Them right-wing evangelicals, they're the same ones who came out of church and hanged your black behind. These are the two words they misunderstood and distorted to twist their own wickedness. The two words master and servant. When they talk about master, they wasn't talking about no white man, but remember they had turned Jesus into the white man. Look at the connection. So Jesus is a white man, and if Jesus is a white man, then God is a white man. And God says, as the master, obey the master. And then he assigned the role of servant to the slaves. I'm giving you some knowledge. So realize what I'm saying to you, brothers and sisters. This ain't no joke. You're the original Semites. And when the Caucasian came on the earth, he was originally came to in your Bible is called the Isle of Patmos, and the Quran is called the Isle of Pelan, where the grafting of the Caucasian came into existence. That's deep knowledge, baby. You can take it or let it alone. But remember, you came from one man. You came from one man. And one day I'll get a little deeper into Yaqub. Yaqub, you know him as Jacob, but his real name is Yaqub, the father of the white race. And when they came on the earth, they were in the Holy Land, learning from the original Hebrew Israelites who were there. But they were already there practicing Hebrew and Judaism. They were already there practicing it. And they practiced it too. They gained a lot of knowledge from the teachings of the Hebrew Israelite nations, from the holy book. But at the same token, what happened was what? They turned into mischief making. And once they got into mischief making, they were kicked out of the Holy Land, all that they could see. This is an important part of the Bible, which means that some remain there. Where did they kick them out to, Brother Rams? They kicked them into the caves and hillsides of Northern Europe. And that's where you get the European Jew. And what Arthur Balfour and Lord Rothschild did was, when they took over the Palestinian land, pay close attention, damn it, this is fact. When they established the land in Palestine, they didn't say they wanted the original Jew there. They wanted all the Jews that got driven into the caves and hillsides of Northern Europe to come have a homeland. And thus, that's how you got them out the caves and hillsides of Northern Europe. There's where those Jews came from, because they had been driven there because when they appeared in the Holy Land, they began mischief making. Now, you can take that or let it alone, but I got to drop this high science on you, because the original Semites are the black and brown people of the earth. And by the way, when a lot of white Jewish people in America go to pray, they go where? They go to temple such and such, Temple Israel, Temple Beth Shalom, all different temples. Where do you think they got that word from? Who was the builder of temples? That comes from the black people, baby, the original Jew. That came from the original Jew. Temples came from the original Jew. It's all through history. The beautiful temples that our kings and queens had built. There's the temple at Abu Simbel. All kind of temples. So I just gave you some heavy science. You got to let it marinate in the brain because it's heavy. The Caucasian people are a grafted people. They were grafted out of the people of color before them. See, because remember, you're called black not because of the color of your skin. You're called black because from you all color comes. So there's every color inside of the black man. Because as it says in Acts, God made one man. All of mankind came from one man so that he may walk the whole earth and cover the whole earth. Cover the whole earth. Acts 17, verse 26. I want you to understand that, brothers. The Bible readers read about Patmos in your Bible. Muslims read about Pelan in the Quran. But now, since this is Women's Month, I got to do some black history. Got to do some black women. Love to do it. Black women, backbone. And of course, this time I'm going to choose a couple of black scientists. Because like I said, America tries to make you seem that you can't do science. And you're the author of science. First person I want to talk about is a doctor. Her name is Dr. April Erickson. Her name is April Erickson. She was the first African American female to receive a PhD from Howard University in mechanical engineering and aerospace option. First black woman to receive a PhD. She worked for NASA as an aerospace engineer. In other words, she worked on them being able to fix certain parts out in space. How to fix this, how to fix that out in space. Different ball game. And she was a strong champion of STEM education in the future workforce. In other words, she wants STEM taught to the young people. So we raise a generation of people who are into science, technology, energy, and mathematics. But this nitwit president has cut all that. So now we're raising a generation of non-critical, non-analytical thinkers. So they can be controlled. Again, remember my saying, without proper education, you're subject to manipulation. That's our sister April Erickson. Beautiful sister. Doctor, April Erickson. Another strong black woman. I got another sister. Let you know. Her name is Doctor. See, I'm talking about these are doctors. Highly educated black women. I love it, every minute of it. Because again, that's from motherhood all the way to the CEO, to the astronaut, you and all that range, black woman. You're in all of that range. And I'm proud to say that black women have carried us through the hardest of times here in America. Thank you. I say that to you. But the second sister's name is Dr. Jewel Plummer Cobb. She's born January 17th, 1924 in Chicago, Illinois. She died January 1st, 2017 in Maplewood, New Jersey. Her education, she went to NYU in 1944 to 1950. That's where she got her advanced degrees. And then she went to Talladega College from 1942 to 1944. She did extensive research on skin cancer. Uh-oh. Now, you know, a lot of our Caucasian brothers get skin cancer because of the lack of melanin in their skin. She did research on skin cancer. Melanin, of course, makes sense if you're dealing with skin issues. And the effects of chemotherapy. She looked at the effects of chemotherapy. She did extensive research. And she's the first black woman appointed to the National Science Board. First black woman appointed to the National Science Board. Kudos to that sister. Kudos to her. Dr. Jewel Plummer Cobb, Dr. April Erickson, Dr. Black Women's. Happy Women's Month. You represent black excellence. And I tip my hat to you. And any young black woman out there, don't you ever think you can't make it, because you can make it, girl. All you got to do is draw on the strength of your ancestors and pray to the Almighty, no matter what you call him. Jesus, Jehovah, Allah, whatever you call him. I want you to realize there's nothing you can't do. And you stand on them black queens. So before I go, I gotta always say this to my black brothers and brown brothers and sisters. Do not engage in no kind of conversation with our Caucasian brothers about immigration. Don't engage it with them. Why you say that, brother man? Because unless they're saying we want to talk openly with the Native American, don't listen to nothing he got to say. So I can't conversate with you because you're not having an honest conversation. The conversation is skewed, it's twisted, it's distorted. How could you be illegal on stolen land? How could you come snatch them? The people who they're snatching up were here before the Caucasians who were snatching them up. You're grabbing a lot of Mexicans. Do you know a lot of Mexicans, their roots are with the Native American? What? Yes. A lot of their roots are with the Native American brothers. So understand this. So I say, brothers and sisters, I just want you to know I'm so very thankful for all your support, for all your comments. I thank you, and I'm deeply humbled by it. Keep your children safe. Keep yourself safe. Keep praying to the Almighty, because this is going to change. God is on the scene. Don't think. Remember Habakkuk in the Bible. You must trust God's plan, and he's here. And there will be regime change in America come November. And there will be regime change in Israel. God is working on that. And you'll see it, and then you'll say, daggone, Brother Rams mentioned it. There will be regime change, since they're both so advocates of regime change. Then regime change is going to happen for them. So again, thank you so very much, my brothers and sisters. I appreciate all that you have done. And thank you. May God bless you all.